as was mentioned, is now we're trying to get a different idea of the roles that different people play and the perspectives that people have in looking at climate services. So we've pulled together 4 talks for you. And the idea of having these talks is to start you thinking about how you may want to test your thinking and test your thoughts, and maybe come up with some ideas about how we could develop research and innovation ideas that are going to address these different people's needs. So we thought we'd start out by looking at it a user's perspective, and for that we've asked, and I'm very pleased to have Stefan Werner from the city of Copenhagen. He's going to come and talk to us now. Stefan?
Yeah, welcome, and I'm happy to talk to you. I made a presentation for you, which should last like 15 minutes. I hope I can keep it. When I was asked to do this, I work in the team for climate adaptation in Copenhagen. We are like 14 people working full-time only with climate adaptation in the city, which has around about 500,000 inhabitants. So, and this is the picture you can see from last summer. And this is normally a road, it's not like a harbor, so, but I will come closer to this. I had to ask my colleagues how everything started, and they said to me, yeah, I was like this guy, which actually one of my colleagues, he had the idea to make a climate adaptation plan, and he has a face, and his name is Jan Rasmussen. And yeah, he started to call a consultant called Kobe and said, we want to know something about climate adaptation, what is the consequences for the city of Copenhagen, and they called to somebody who's called the Danish Meteorological Institute, DMI, and they downscaled the IPCC report to something which we can cope with in the region of Copenhagen. And I have this report here, it's like this big, it has like 12 pages. So you can see this is where we can base our work on. So then the end was like this. We had this COP15 in Copenhagen, and they want to make a climate plan, and they said, okay, we have to do something about climate adaptation as well, and then it was kind of too big, and this was getting their own report. So this is kind of the story in the back. So what did I do? Just very shortly, maybe most of you know this, maybe not, I don't know, I didn't know it. The IPCC model is like a model which has a grid of about 100 times 100 kilometers, and DMI, they downscaled it to a grid which was smaller. And in Copenhagen is smaller than 1 cell in the grid. And they use some models, some from England, some from Germany. I don't know if the numbers are correct, but you can find this out later. What does it mean? I make this picture. I said, okay, when you take this, I can use this one maybe here. See which button is it? Is it the? Yeah, here. This is the grid. This is the grid from the IPCC, and this is Copenhagen. And I couldn't see it. So Copenhagen is 1% of a cell of a grid of the IPCC. So I put it up, this big one over here, and you can see that the downscaling process means that you take one cell of the IPCC model, and then you make a new cell out of it, and then one cell of it is the size of Copenhagen. And this is where we base our knowledge on. So what does it mean for us? We identified 3 main challenges. We say it will rain differently, mostly more, and in patterns which we don't like because it's raining more in the winter and less in the summer. And when it's raining in the summer, it's raining more intensively. We have even, because it's raining less in the summer, problem with the heat in the summer, and then it's getting more warmer. Like today, it's very nice and warm. And we have the rising sea level, which will give us some problems when we have some storm surges. And we said when we have this climate adaptation plan, we have to make some revisions of this because we get a new IPCC report every 5 years. So then we make some nice maps and showing people what's happening. On the left side, you can see what's happening when heavy rain is coming over the city. On the right side, you can see what's happening when the sea level is rising. So this is partly some flooding, so we don't like this. Most people don't like water in the basements. And we make some risk maps, which you probably knew as well. You calculate the possibility that an event will happening with the damage costs. And this is only not on the map because it's another part, not inside of Copenhagen, but normally they have a lot of floodings as well. So, and the left map shows the flooding risk from rain, and the right one from rising sea level. And we make some risk calculations as well. The red line shows the costs for damages for changing rain patterns, and the blue one is for the rising sea level. And you can see that after around about 50 years, the problems with rising sea level is getting bigger. So we start with the problem with rain, because we think when we have solved this problem, then we can look at the rising sea level. Of course, we have looked at the urban heat islands as well, and I don't want to go further on this because we ask ourselves, can we make a reality check? So, do we know if those data are good enough for us? So, I started for like 4 years ago in the city of Copenhagen, and the day after I started, it looks like this. It was like pouring down in Copenhagen, and this was not only happening one time, it was like 4 events where we had the rain coming down, which was probably only coming down 100 years. So the city was flooded. So we could see, okay, on page 33 on our climate adaptation plan, what's happening. When it's raining quite a lot, the city is flooded. Yes, it is flooded. It's flooding those places. It is, and it costs a lot of money. The first event on the 2nd of July cost us around about 800 million euros. So in December 2013, we had kind of a storm surge, and we were like 10 centimeters from the tipping point that the whole city or nearby city would be flooded. And if you just calculate the 60 centimeters of sea level rising, which the IPCC report is talking about around about Denmark, then we had a problem. So we could say check on this one as well. And last summer it was quite warm in Copenhagen. This is some data which should show this, that we had like around about 2 to 3 weeks where we had temperatures around about 30 degrees and no rain, which is kind of unusual for Copenhagen, I can tell you this. It's much more warmer here than in Copenhagen now. So what did we do after that? We talked to our politicians, or I should maybe say that while we had this climate adaptation plan, we had to show them to our politicians, and they had to approve this plan. And while we were doing this was happening. So it was very good. So there were no discussions. You know, they came in the autumn. They came to us and said, "Okay, you want to have 2.5 million crowns for your work? You get 50." And last summer, when we had to discuss the budget for this year again, this was happening again. So okay, you get your money. We do this. So what did we do with all the money? We looked at Copenhagen, and we made a big investigation. What's happening in Copenhagen when it's raining? How should we solve this problem? In Copenhagen, we have the idea to not to build bigger pipes, but some pipes, and the rest we want to handle on the surface with green and blue solutions. So we made divided the city in 7 surface catchments, called to 7 consultancies, and said, do the work, you have 2 months. So they had to get busy. And it resulted in a kind of a big cloudburst management plan, which is shown here. The big blue stripes showing where the water is going in the event of a 100-year event, which is what we calculate is the best solution to secure the city. So, and to give you a picture, this is what we came up to. We identified 300 projects on the surface, which think will take around about 20 years to do it, and will cost around about 1 billion euros to do it. And this is only for the infrastructure to manage the water. Then everything which is nice part on the top of the surface, like green biodiversity and stuff like this, is not included in this. And our politicians have to approve this this year. Then we thought, okay, what do we want to do on the surface? How should the green look like? So we took the 7 catchment areas and said, okay, now we look on it and say, what is the green? How could a green structure look like? How can we put biodiversity into it? How can we connect people together talking about mobility? And we came up with I call it the green vision, a green integrated network which is related to the 300 Cloudburst projects and should be a part of a green infrastructure which should combine all the added values and effects we like to have, like nature and biodiversity, health, environment, clean air, cooling, urban heat island, I talked about it, mobility, accessibility. So then we talked about sea level rising. We said, okay, we could, on the left you can see how the city will be flooded when we don't do anything. So we thought about maybe just put a barrier on both sides of the harbor and let the water stand outside, because we like to be in the city, we like to have an attractive city, and we don't have we don't have one big walls in the city which should protect the harbor water from coming into the old city. So this is kind of an illustration where we want to build kind of a barrier, and maybe you have some ports where you can come in and out. So then we have to talk about, okay, how much do we want to protect? You know, like the small circle is just the city of Copenhagen, or the bigger circle, then we talk about the neighbor communities, or the big circle, so we make a protection area system for all of it. This is something which we have to talk about, and we're working on this. We want to make a design competition in the next year to find out what to do next. So, where are we right now? We have, I told about this 12 pages in the beginning. Now when we look about our Cloudburst management plan, we have like 2,500 pages, still growing, which we have to deliver to our politicians to give us a thumb up to do all the stuff. We have the 300 projects. We expect to start up 15 projects every year. We started this year, and you can count that it's kind of a lot of money we're pushing into the city. A lot of construction work will happening there. Then we have to talk about financing. We have a business case where we say, okay, when it's raining quite a lot, we have to get some damages costs, and if you make some construction, the costs are cheaper than the damages. So this is good. But then we want to invest the money in something which we like to have. We want to make an attractive city. So if we want to have a greener city, we have to show how can we make it greener. Where's the business case? And we are not very good in this. We are doing the best, but we can do better. Maybe you can do better as well. So this is always the question, which kind of business case do we want to have? So what did we learn? We learned political backup is necessary. It helps with a big Cloudburst event. We changed legislation because it didn't fit. We had to make a financing model where we could use our water fees to pay solutions on the surface, which was not possible before. We learned that we have a long implementation time, is 20 years, so we need some solutions which are adaptable. Because already now, like 3 years after we made the first plane, there coming a new information about that the rain patterns maybe will change a little bit differently anyway. So the rain will increasing with 10% more. So we have to recalculate everything what we've done. And we think when we make solutions on the surface, they are more flexible than a pipe which is dig down in 10 meters under the ground, because it's expensive to make it bigger. Then I thought about the work you were talking about doing here, and then we say we don't need a new report every year, because we have an implementation time about 20 years. So what we need are solutions which are flexible, and then we have to see how is the climate changing, where is it going to. We know that the existing administration is challenged and that it's difficult to implement it because we come with a new knowledge and then somebody said, you're not the guy who should tell me how to do. I'm an architect, I'm a city planner, I know what to do. We said, yeah, but you can learn something, and then we have a lot of discussions. Yeah, I talked about business models, and we had the other day a discussion about our sewage company, which is responsible for the piping, and they said, yeah, we can just make more holes in the pipes than all the water is going to the harbor. I said, yeah, but we have a combined system in our city, so it's not so nice to get all this shit into the harbor. I said, yeah, but it's cheaper. And I said, it's only cheaper because you don't have to pay anything for it. So it's just like CO2, you don't have to pay something to get it out. So we have to get kind of a business model or maybe some other things to push things in the direction we want to have. Because I can definitely understand it's cheaper for a sewage company to puncture some pipes and say, okay, we put it just into the harbor. But it's not the way we want to do it. In Copenhagen, we like to go, we have actually a harbor bath, so you can swim in the harbor, so it's very nice. We want to continue with this. And I don't think it's a good idea to mix all the black sewage together with rainwater, which is not contained. So we have to talk about this. In 100 years, we want to have something else, probably. So, yeah, and we learned that the new alternative solutions should benefit the whole city, and this is what our politicians want. So we have to work on this and always say, okay, this is the benefits. And then you talk about how much is a green roof benefiting you? So, okay, well, we have to think about this. Maybe you can help. So next step. All the knowledge that we and my colleagues have collected, we have to put it into the organization so they understand what we are talking about. Things changing very quickly, so we have to quickly to tell them how to do it. Implementation is important. Okay, 300 projects, 1 billion euros. Something kind of a work we have to do. Networking is very important to tell people what we are going to. Partnership with the private sector, we're working on this as well. I have tomorrow a meeting about the Horizon 2020 project, so I'm very looking forward to it. And we have to learn from our front-runner cases and maybe keep an eye on the rising sea level. I heard that the people from Holland are very interested in this. And I thank you for your attention.
Stefan, thank you very much. I hope you saw some of the things that I think that I got out of this, anyways, this presentation, and thinking about it in the context. One of the types of information that you need is at the scales that are needed, and how that challenges us. It's not just climate information you needed other types of information at those scales. I thought were very interesting. Another thing that I thought that was interesting is reducing impacts alone is insufficient to support decision making. I think that's one thing I heard very much, and that challenges us in terms of the types of information that is needed to address those positive implications. I thought that was a very, very solid message, and the desire to work in partnership. Is there a question for Stefan? Yes, please. Oh, sorry. Where's the microphone? I've lost it.
Is it okay without microphone?
No, I think they really need it because they're recording it, so I apologize. Just identify quickly who you are.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you. I'm Bo Lin from the Swedish Geotechnical Institute. I wonder, what is the legal status of the implementation or adaptation plan in relation to detailed plans that are made all over the city? Is it steering in some way, and how is it steering?
The climate adaptation plan is going to be a part of the city plan, which is our highest instrument we have. And we are including all the information from the climate adaptation plan and the Cloudburst plan into our sewage plan, which is another tool for us to where we can decide what we want to do. So it's the plan for itself is not so important, but because we linked it to the other plans, the city plan, which allows us to change things. Perhaps. Is it understandable?
Yes.
Maybe we can do it in the coffee break.
Yeah.
Yes. I will come back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, there's another one over there.
One more quick question, if we could, right behind you. Can you just pass that back? Sorry about that.
You talked about business models and the fact that this is something that really needs solved. You couldn't give us a bit more on that? What are the particular issues you're dealing with, and what kind of response are you getting?
Yeah, it's like we have now a business case where we say that piping is cheaper than making solutions on the surface when you not compare it when you want to transport water over there. So. And it's very cheap for a sewage company to say, okay, we just put all the water into a park, which is big enough, and then we make a small wall around it. And we say, okay, but we want to have, we would like to separate the water and have like a separate system. And it's very difficult to do this when you don't have a driver, which because everybody can say, kind of out of the business model we have right now, okay, this part is not cheaper, so we have really to find the benefits, what's the added value of the blue and green infrastructure we want to plan. And I worked on a different European work project, AquaEd, where we talked about this, but the business model, the financing in it is always difficult. And maybe it's just that we say, okay, it costs a little bit more. So, but it could be interesting to see how can we do this. Green roofs is a good example as well. Investors always say green roof is expensive. I don't need it. And then you have to explain it.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Stefan, you're here the rest of the day, aren't you?
Yes.
Because I did hear you say you had something you were doing tomorrow.
Yeah, I have to leave tomorrow morning.
Okay, so he's here today, so take the chance to talk to Stefan, and that may help in terms of some of your thinking, because I thought there was a lot of richness in what Stefan had to say. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.